Hey, this is Joe Gilder from PreSonus. Today we're going to continue our tour of Studio One and talk about the inspector window, that thing on the left-hand side of the screen, and also the little track show hide thingy, which is super useful. So let's dive in. All right, shortcut of the day is F4, which opens up the inspector window over here. If you forget, that little I stands for inspector, and that'll open this up. If you've used Logic, the Logic has this thing on the left-hand side that's somewhat like this, and it gives you a bunch of different information, most of which you probably don't need, but some of which you might. So I want to show you some things there. A couple of things, like most things in Studio One, we can resize this to show us what we need to see. There's a couple different areas. So as you can see, there's kind of an area here for stuff relating to layers and things like that. Then there's an area at the bottom that's more like event-based data and effects, and then kind of the middle area, which I'm trying to adjust, which is this is like the fader section. So here's kind of what it looks like. If you can't find a particular section, like you say, hey, I can't see my fader, it's probably because something got pulled all the way up like that. So this is kind of showing you everything that you can see here on the left-hand side. So let's just walk through really quickly what's available and why it's important. Tempo follow. So if you do a lot of MIDI production and you're not yet set on the tempo of the song, and you're going to be changing the tempo as you're writing, or maybe the song gets faster and slows down, if you want your events and your MIDI things to follow that, you have to tell it to. Now, usually that's set up by default. As I click on these different tracks, you can see they're all set to follow the tempo. I can switch it to don't follow, so I can tell certain tracks to follow the tempo, others not to. I don't use that a whole lot. Time stretch, again, if you're using a lot of time stretching for like quantizing or for the tempo following, if you're having it actually stretch audio files, then what type of audio it is helpful here. I don't use that a whole lot either. Grouping, I almost never use it because of the ability to just highlight things and adjust them together. But if you do want to group things, for example, if these, let's say these were all drum tracks and I wanted to edit them together, I could create a group. So Command G does that. I could call that group drums. And now all of these are added to drums. We can see that here, we can select the group here on the channel, and we can also see the groups up here. Kind of just duplicates of the same thing. And I can come through and edit this one, and they'll all edit together. And then whenever I want to disable that group, or I can just ungroup them by selecting them all and hitting Command-Shift-G, turns it back, basically turns the group off. So there you go. All right, the next thing here, layers. This is the equivalent of, if you're coming from Pro Tools, that they call it playlists. This is where you can record your different takes. So let's say these were drum tracks. We did a take. We said, let's get another take, but I don't want to lose those. I just select them, highlight them, hit add layer, and now we got a new layer visible. And if we want to see what layers are underneath, we can click here. We can see that there's a layer 1 under there, and we're currently looking at layer 2. This is also where you come to rename your layers. You can also duplicate layers and remove them. So they're all right there. It took me a while to find that first time I started using Studio One. A couple other things you can check out. Follow chords has to do with the chord track. The rest of this stuff I don't use. Down here, this is just an equivalent, essentially the same thing you would see over here in the mixer. It's just laid out a little differently. Fader on the left, inserts and sends on the right. So a lot of times if you're mixing, maybe you just want to see what's on the faders without opening up your mixer window. You can do that. It'll just show up right here. We can access all the pertinent information there. We can even change the inputs of the channel as well as changing them here. So if you have it like this, where maybe you're looking at it zoomed in pretty small, where you can't see all the details because of the zoom level, you can still see the details here and just quickly find things. I don't use this a ton for mixing. A lot of times I'm more so switching back and forth between this view and this view, but it is there, and occasionally it is nice to just have that there, especially if you just want to see what plugins are on this track. Ah, they're right there. I don't have to open this up and kind of re-look for it. It's there. Also, one quick thing, I didn't mention this before, but if you double click on a channel, it will open it up in the mixer and have it selected. So as you can see, this channel is highlighted. So if we were to scroll way over here, and double click on this, it would open it up, and you can see it scrolled over to the left just enough to let me see that channel. So that's pretty cool. It has nothing to do with Inspector, but I thought you would like it. Now the bottom section of the Inspector over here on the bottom left, if I select a piece of audio or a piece of MIDI, it gives me a bunch of options here. So the ones that I use, some are the transpose feature. So if I have a kick drum and I want to duplicate it and transpose it down an octave or a fifth, I can do that here. These are semitones, meaning each number is a half step. So for example, this synth here, if I select it and I go transpose that down -12, took it down an octave. Up 24, that's disgusting. So it's not, it's going to sound like it's been transposed, but it's actually a pretty handy way to just try things out. A lot of times maybe I'll duplicate this. So maybe I like this sound, but I think the mix itself could use more air. So I duplicate this by doing Command D, duplicates the whole, nope, that's actually not it. We're going to right click and use duplicate track complete. That's Shift Command D. That makes a complete copy of the track, including the audio. Then I can select the audio on this one and maybe take that up 24. So that's 2 octaves up. So now I have this, and I have this, and together. Is that pleasant? No, but you get the idea. You can do some different things there. I do that sometimes with vocals, sometimes with drums. There's just a lot of cool creative things you can do that don't involve having to melodyne it or using some other plugin. It's just a quick way to get some different sounds just right here built into Studio One. And from my experience, I don't know for sure, but it doesn't seem to take a lot of processing to do. I suppose if you did that across 16 tracks and they were all different pitches, that could probably maybe start to wear on it, but I've not found that to be the case. Gain and normalizing, if you want to take a piece of audio and normalize it, I usually do Option N to do that, but when I do that, you'll notice this checkbox is now checked. So normalizing can be done here or with that shortcut, and you can always undo it. And then if I use the clip gain on this track to turn the actual underlying audio up or down, I can do that by clicking on the square here, or you'll see that the actual amount of gain shows up here. So if I'm saying, you know what, that needs to go down by 3 dB, and I just want to do the math and say, let's just make that 7 point, or what would that be, 8.6, we can just actually type that amount there. So if you're in kind of that mode, if you want to type in a specific amount, you can do that there as well. Rest of this stuff you can explore. I don't use any of that. The other thing is event effects. You may have seen demos of this. This is where you can take a chunk of audio and you can put an event just on that little piece. So if I slice up this section here, I can put a reverb plugin just on this section and have it not apply to the rest of the mix. So this section could have, let's put distortion because it'll be easy to hear. We'll put distortion in this event effects section. So this audio here sounds like this, but this one sounds like this. And if we go back and forth, we've only put distortion on this piece of audio, and it's a plugin on, imagine putting that plugin on this chunk of audio, not on the entire channel. And we can also render that, so we save our processing. Maybe it's a processor-intensive reverb that we just want on one snare hit. It'll save it there, and now we've rendered it, and we're not using that plugin anymore. If we decide we want to change what we've used there, we can click Restore, and it'll restore it back to its original state with the plugin intact. We can tweak that, and then we can re-render it. I'll do a video on the differences between bouncing and rendering and merging and all of those things, because that can be confusing, but this is a great tool. I mostly use this for Melodyne. It works the same way, but that's how you can add effects to one specific instance if you don't feel like automating the effect on and off for just one section of a song or a mix. All right, the other thing I want to show you, if you look over here, the track list, which is now Shift F4, I did not know that till just now. This is available both on the Arrange window and also down here in the Mixer window. If you see these 4 lines, that is the track show hide list. And what you can do is these little circles correspond to different tracks. So as we click on them, we can show and hide different numbers of tracks. Now, it's helpful for, let's say you had some scratch tracks that you just recorded at the beginning, and you think, I don't really want these anymore in the session, but I want to be able to get back to them. It's the same as if we right-click on it and go hide track. Same idea, except we can do that globally here by clicking and dragging, or by going through and just clicking the individual ones that we want to hide. And that applies to both the mixer window and the arrange window. You can change that to where it only applies to one or the other. But it's just a handy tool if just for a second you say, you know what, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I really just want to see these tracks here. And you can just work on those. And then once you're feeling good, I'm just clicking and dragging up here, click and drag. Now everything's back in. And we can see everything that's here so we don't ever miss anything. So you're not deleting anything. You're literally just saying, I want to see them or not. Nothing's being deleted. Nothing's being thrown away. Just a way of visually looking at what you want to see and not looking at what you don't want to see, if that makes sense. That felt confusing, but I think you get what I'm saying. So that is the track show hide list, which is available here in the arranger window, also available here in the mixer window. So pretty handy tool to have. All right, that's it for this video. Hope that was helpful for you, gave you some ideas of ways you can incorporate that into your workflow. I'm Joe from PreSonus. As always, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe so you can get access to future videos from myself and others here on the PreSonus team. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.